Hi everyone, this is Dr. Vaughn, and I just thought I'd make a quick video about some of my expectations for your final project. This is a paper about math in careers. I'm sure you've been working on it for quite a while. It's not due until Sunday, last day of this module. So, here's the prompt that comes from Module 8, using your career choice, whatever that might be. If you're not completely sure exactly what that is, then just pick something and go with it. You're going to try to answer each of these 6 different kinds of questions. So, way back in week 1, we looked at what kind of applications of math in your field of study. And a lot of you didn't have very specific ideas at that time, but maybe you've had a chance to hone some of those ideas as we've looked at various applications in probability and statistics and combinatorics, all of the different kinds of quantitative reasoning aspects we've gone over the last 7 weeks. So 1 to 2 paragraphs. I want to go up to the top though and look at a total of at least 5 resources in APA format. These should be high quality resources. If you're not familiar with writing in APA, this is going to be an APA style paper. I would suggest that you just look online for an APA template of some kind. They have these available. And also, when you go to do your resources or references at the end of the paper, use the Purdue OWL Center. OWL is the online writing lab at Purdue University. You could also go to the Writing Center at Baker, and they have a lot of great resources. They may even have one of these APA templates available for you at the Writing Center. So use the template. It makes it a lot easier. You don't have to have an abstract for this paper. You should have a header. And I do want to see your paper written in more of essay style rather than short answer. So it's not like question 1, here's my response, question 2, here's my response. You should be weaving together a narrative essay. Think about a typical introduction, body, conclusion. In the introduction, you would be grabbing the reader's attention. You would be introducing that you're going to be looking at applications of math in your field of study and looking at some article reviews and what have you. So, kind of take the big picture view to all of these 6 different questions and try to write an introductory paragraph. Then you're going to have 1 to 2 paragraphs about why is math important, 1 to 2 paragraphs about making predictions, and use at least 2 situations from the news. You've done some current events. You've had some of your peers that have posted some current events, especially early in the class, and you can choose from some of those, or you could start afresh and look at these. So you want to build a linear model in at least one of these kind of cases in your own life where predictions must be made. So this is like playing tennis at the club sort of idea. That if the tennis club costs $10 to get in, and then it's $5 an hour after that, you can model that as 10 plus 5x, for x is the number of hours that are that you play tennis for example. So there's lots and lots of different kinds of examples of these applications of linear models. It shouldn't be too terribly difficult for you to come up with an example. You're going to do an article review. So these 2 articles from magazine, journal, newspaper, or reputable online. So you can't use Wikipedia, but you should try to find the primary source for some of these, and it has some element of mathematics. Make sure that you cite that reference. So there's 2 of your 5 kind of APA resources just from kind of doing this. So this would be 2 to 3, 1 or 2 paragraphs for each of the 2 articles. So that's 3 or 4 paragraphs in total. You could probably get away with 2 long paragraphs, but I'm not really counting your paragraphs. What I'm looking at is the rubric. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. So then you're going to include a graph. I would suggest that you embed the graph right into your paper. So you might want to create the graph in Excel, or you might need to create it in some other kind of a product and then take a picture of it, and then you can import the picture into your paper. Usually works better if you can have something that seamlessly embeds, because you can move it around and give it a title, make sure the axes are labeled, and you're using the appropriate type of graph for the data that you're trying to present. So what graph is showing, and what's the functional relationship, what are the axes, what's the why is the graph important, and then 2 conclusions. That's 3 to 4 paragraphs here. And then you're going to look at surprises that you found throughout constructing this paper, things that maybe applications of math you weren't really aware of as you did some of your research, or as you did some of this article review. Does anything really kind of stand out to you? And then the strengths and weaknesses that you have. So this is mostly a personal inspection about where your strengths and weaknesses lie in math, and it'll help you better focus on your career. All right, so and then I would probably end with a conclusion. Here is the rubric. So this is how your paper will actually be graded. I'll go through and give you points in this column, and I'll give you comments over here. So again, 1 to 2 paragraphs, importance of math in the field of study. So, usually a lot of times this is, I'll take off a point if you have some spelling errors, or if it's really weak, it's not really well developed, something along those lines. It's only half of a paragraph or 1 paragraph. Just I don't think you really fully fleshed this out is when you might lose a couple of points here. So most of this is going to be if it's present and it's well written, you should get all 5 points here. Making predictions, you should have at least 2 situations. So all I really wanted to point out is that these things that are detailed in the rubric, directly align to what the prompt is asking you to do. So as long as you've kind of done everything that's over here, you should get good points, throughout this. And it's only when you fail to explain the graph. You paste the graph in, but you don't really talk about it, or explain if the graph represents a functional relationship. So is it a function or not a function? Does it pass the vertical line test? Explains why the author included a graph and 2 conclusions, etc. And then what's not included as a rubric dimension on here is that APA formatting. So I'll probably look at that when you go into this article review, because if you don't cite your sources appropriately, then this is where I would probably take off a couple of points. So anyway, I hope that this has been helpful to you, and I look forward to talking to you again.